My today's talk is on the topic of cryogenic treatment, a treatment which is used for enhancing the mechanical properties of different type of materials, and how this treatment has evolved over time for polymeric materials. So cryogenic treatment, when we try to represent on a logarithmic temperature scale, it goes towards the negative temperature. All of us are aware with the concept of heat treatment, where the processes like hardening, annealing, normalizing can be carried out for metals and alloys at higher temperature. But cryogenic treatment deals with cooling the material below 0 degrees centigrade. This is how the cryogenic treatment was developed over a period of time, where instead of heating the material, we cool the material to achieve some structural changes and enhancement in properties. Now, there is a analogy of cryogenic treatment, the structural changes which take at place at cryogenic treatment with superconductivity. How the change in the structure can be correlated with the Cooper pairs of superconducting material. And this comes in accordance with the third law of thermodynamics. Due to time constraints, I won't go in depth in this, but we have a detailed paper which I have referred at the end of the slide, which can be read by interested faculties, where we have compared the structural changes in materials with the superconductivity concept by applying the third law of thermodynamics. So the comparison or the analogy concludes that when you have cryogenic treatment of the material, or when you subject the material to such sub-zero temperatures, the point defects in the structure are being modified because of reduction in temperature. There is a change in electrical resistivity and solubility of crystal structure because of redistribution of various elements in the crystal lattice, and the atom to atom spacing in the structure becomes more uniform due to ironing out of defects or due to rearrangement of defects. So why do we think about cryogenic treatment? The big motivation for looking at cryogenic treatment or for performing the cryogenic treatment of material is the wear loss issue. Until the 19th century, wear loss was not one of the factor which was considered for economic calculations. But since 19th century, it has been estimated by economists and researchers around the world that the wear can lead to a tremendous loss of material and component, which impacts economy greatly. So, considering this, the cryogenic treatment has been developed over the years as a treatment for improving the wear performance of material. If we are able to improve the wear performance, the losses are reduced and you can save economy. That is how the cryogenic treatment came into picture along with the other heat treatment processes. So when we talk about cryogenic treatment, this is a standard representation given in the ASM Handbook Volume 4 of heat treatment, where the theoretical cryogenic treatment process is like this, whereas experimentally with the help of different sensors, you can achieve a step-like process where you can reduce the temperature and increase the temperature. So it is a method of processing materials to a temperature of minus 196 degrees centigrade in liquid nitrogen for a stipulated time period. And according to ASM Handbook, there are two basic factors which govern the effect of treatment on material structure and property. That is the soaking temperature at which you are treating the material and the duration of the soaking period, the temperature at which the treatment is carried out, and the time for holding the sample at that temperature. Depending on these two parameters, there are n number of combinations, as you can see, which can be made from 0 degrees to minus 196 degrees centigrade, and there are n number of time periods which one can play with. So over the period of time, our team has derived a matrix in which we take 3 different temperatures and 6 different time periods, where by using these matrix, we are able to optimize the treatment parameters for different type of material. This is the cryogenic processor facility at our institute presently in India, where this is the cryogenic chamber in which the samples are kept, and liquid nitrogen from this cylinder is supplied to the chamber, where it is atomized, and then the samples are cooled to the required temperature. The history of cryogenic treatment is very old, where from 19th century, the Swiss watchmakers used to cool their watches in ice, which gave them better life and performance. Similarly, around the 1930s, the treatment for cutting tool was started where they were directly dipped into the liquid nitrogen. But because of such practices, the thermal shock was experienced by the material, because you were suddenly changing the temperature of the material from room temperature to sub-zero temperatures. Because of that, the thermal shock was experienced by the material, and usually it used to damage the material instead of improving its properties. Over the period of time, as process control systems came into picture, as liquefaction of gases came into picture, and the control of liquid gases came into development, the use or the application of cryogenic treatment became more easier. So the purpose of cryo treatment is to reduce the crystal defects, help in balancing the residual stress, improve the hardness and wear resistance, which ultimately improves the service life and performance of the component. Usually, there are two types of treatment: shallow cryogenic treatment, which is given between -50 to -80 degrees centigrade, and deep cryogenic treatment, which is given between -80 to -196 degrees centigrade. As I said, according to ASN handbook, there are 3 steps in cryogenic treatment. Ramp down, where you are taking your sample from room temperature to your required cryogenic temperature. This is done at a very slow cooling rate so that the material does not experience any thermal shock. After ramp down, you have a soaking period. Soaking period is where you hold the material at that temperature for a constant period of time, which usually varies between 1 hour to 48 hours, depending on your material and the performance required. After the soaking period, you have the step of ramp up, where again the material is brought from cryogenic temperature to room temperature very slowly, again to avoid the thermal shock. So over the period of time from last 2 centuries, cryogenic treatment of metallic materials has been very popular, where the steels such as duplex stainless steel, austenitic stainless steel, vanadium alloy steel, bearing steel, and other alloy steels are subjected to cryogenic treatment. Now, the study of interest for us has always been the structural changes in cryogenic treatment. Our team has been exploring the different structural changes that is taking place due to cryogenic treatment. So in steels, it is reported that the retained austenite is converted into martensite, which reduces the residual stresses in the steel, therefore giving good properties. Further, the precipitation of secondary carbides also helps in strengthening the material, in also giving the precipitation strengthening mechanism to the material, and therefore improving mechanical properties. Similarly, for non-ferrous metals and alloys, just like steels, cryogenic treatment is carried out for very commonly for aluminium alloys, and then less commonly for magnesium alloys, titanium alloys, and copper alloys. Again, in non-ferrous metals, the benefits which have been observed over the years by researchers are: one is the grain refinement. The grain refinement takes place where the high angle grain boundaries are converting into low angle grain boundaries, therefore helping in the reduction in residual stresses and helping in crack propagation in case of non-ferrous metals. Then the GP zone formation is also there, which again helps in the strengthening mechanism of the material, and then precipitation of secondary beta phases, which also helps in precipitation hardening and precipitation strengthening of the material. Similarly, cryogenic treatment of ceramic material has also been an interesting area, where ceramics which are used as cutting tool materials are usually cryo-treated, such as tungsten carbide, zirconia-based carbide, and silicon nitride. These are where tungsten carbide is the most commonly used cutting tool material. In case of ceramic materials, the refinement of hard phase particles is one of the benefits. Next is the alignment of hard phase particle skeleton into the soft binder structure network. The alignment of this skeleton neatly into the soft binder helps in achieving good properties, specifically hot hardness and good cutting ability in case of cutting tool materials. And obviously the precipitation of secondary eta carbides, which helps again in the strengthening of the ceramic material. Now moving on towards the cryo treatment of polymeric materials, previously up till early 2000s, cryogenic treatment of polymers was an alien concept. Not much findings were reported, and not many papers can be found before 2000 in which somebody has tried to cryogenically treat polymeric material. However, there is a paper by J. Indumati and team from IIT Delhi, India, where they have cryo-treated different polymers such as polyimide, polyetheramide, polycarbonate, and polyurethane. And these are the representation of PTFE, polytetrafluoroethylene particles, where before cryogenic treatment, the binding of particles can be seen is not good or it is poor. And in case of cryo treated, the binding of particles has become more better. This is in the case of PTFE powder. So, inspired by the work of Dr. Indumati, which was reported in 1999, our team has progressively worked with different types of polymers, polymer blends, polymer composites, and polymer nanocomposites, and to study the effect of cryo treatment on these materials and how the structure is enhanced, giving us good mechanical properties. So, this is our team spread at two locations. One is in the city of Nagpur, and one is in the city of Aurangabad. And we have worked with these different type of polymers: PTFE, polycarbonate, polystyrene, polyurethane, polyamide, PBT, and medical grade USGP. Also, we have explored polymer composites of PBT and glass fiber, PBT wollastonite, and MWCNT nanocomposites. So, it was found out that irrespective of the polymeric material, irrespective of what material you are cryo treating, the polymer responds excellently to cryogenic treatment, and the wear performance is the property which is getting the maximum affected by cryo treatment. Here you can see that in case of all the polymers, there is an improvement after the cryogenic treatment. You can see that this is the improvement in crystallinity, improvement in wear performance, and improvement in tensile strength. And all the polymers are exhibiting improvement in mechanical properties. This was credited to the crystallinity of the polymer, where the crystalline structure of the polymer before treatment plays an important role. Whether the polymer you are using is crystalline, semi-crystalline, or amorphous in nature will govern the cryogenic treatment parameters such as time and temperature. More the randomness in polymer structure, more temperature and time will be required. Less will be the randomness or highly crystalline the material, the cryogenic treatment results can be obtained at low time holding time as well. So this is an SEM image of worn out surface in polyamide polymer. This is untreated polyamide, and this is the cryo-treated polyamide, where you can see that the peeling of polymeric surface is suppressed after cryogenic treatment. This hints towards the fact that the density of the polymer is increasing, the defects are being eradicated from the polymeric structure, and the polymeric chain structure is rearranging itself to a more rigid structure than untreated material. This shows the cryogenic treatment of medical grade USGP. This work was done in collaboration with University of Salerno, Italy, where the medical grade ultra high density polyethylene, which is used for knee prosthesis, was studied. And again, the difference between untreated and cryo-treated material can be seen. Whether it is dry wear or lubricated wear, cryo-treated material gives better wear performance. And the mechanism for this was credited to the alignment of polymeric chains into a more stable and rigid structure, where the amount of amorphous segments is reducing, and the structure defects such as spacing and abnormality is being overcome after cryogenic treatment. Similarly, when we explored the polymer composites of glass fiber and wollastonite, again, it was found that irrespective of the filler which you add, the treatment parameters are affected by the polymer material, polymer matrix material. Here is a SEM of adhesion between glass fiber and polymer matrix. Here you can see that how the different soaking period is affecting the bonding between glass fiber and polymer composite. Similar trend was found between wollastonite and polymer composite, where the soaking period plays a very vital role on the adhesion parameter in composites, and better the adhesion, stronger the adhesion, better will be the mechanical properties. Similarly, these are the mechanical properties for MWCNT nanocomposites, where we have attempted the cryogenic treatment of nanocomposites, and you can see how we are benefiting in terms of tensile strength, elongation. This is a mechanism which we have derived for CNT nanocomposites, where polymer sheathing is improved after cryogenic treatment. You can find the details of this mechanism in our paper given here in Composites Part A. Similarly, for another semi-crystalline polymer, this one is your highly crystalline polymer. This is for semi-crystalline polymer, where the fracture mechanism or the adhesion between nanotubes and polymer can be, it can have correlated with the fracture mechanism in glass, which gives you a mirror mist Hackle pattern. And the details of this can be found in International Journal of Materials Research, where this mechanism is explained in detail. So to conclude our work till date, we have tried cryogenic treatment of different polymers, composites, nanocomposites, and blend. The blend results are not discussed here because it is an ongoing project where we are exploring the effect of cryogenic treatment on PBT and PET blend, polymeric blend. So here we can conclude that cryogenic treatment helps improving the mechanical as well as tribological performance of polymers and composites alike, just like metal. How people are reporting for the effect of cryo treatment on metals, similar findings can be found for polymers, and we can say that cryogenic treatment of polymers is a successful technique which gives you improved mechanical properties, improved performance, therefore enhancing the component life. However, a proper control and optimization of parameters of treatment is needed because polymer is a complex structure. It is a long chain molecular structure where the treatment time and temperature plays an vital role on the effect of treatment on polymer properties. However, cryogenic treatment is not commercially acceptable, and hence there is a lot of scope in future development and applicability of cryogenic treatment. So with this, I would like to thank to today's audience for listening to my lecture on cryogenic treatment of polymeric materials. I thank my undergrad students who have helped with the cryo treatment of different polymeric materials over the period of time from last 5 years. These are the undergrad students who has helped us with the cryo treatment of different polymeric materials. Two postgrad students has also helped us in the cryo treatment of composites. I would like to thank special thank to my colleague and partner, Dr. Kavita Pandey, who has always helped me to try out my crazy ideas and see how cryo treatment can be developed further. Our mentors in India as well as in Italy. And finally, I would like to thank my family for always supporting me through my R&D work. If there are any queries, my contact details are given on this slide. You can WhatsApp me or drop me a mail, and I'm glad to share my knowledge with you, and I will answer your queries.